Hey, Ramblers, before we kick off today's episode, thank you for even taking the time to listen to the podcast. We appreciate it. If you love the podcast, toss your 2 cents in using the hashtag Let's Ramble and make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all the latest content and updates. Visit us at our new website at offsource.tech and make sure to follow us across all social platforms at Assistance HQ. Now let's ramble. And now, a moment from our sponsor.
Some people just don't work as smart or as hard. It's got to make the
Right,
combo.
because it's easier to just blame other people than you accept that their circumstances like put them in a bad position, and then you have to feel bad.
No, I don't. Because
that's how white people be when you tell them how black people are systematically oppressed. They just be like, well, I mean, like, I guess that may all be true, but they just need to work hard and just pull themselves up. That's what my ancestors did. And they neglect the fact that their ancestors owned ours. Like, it's no different to be a black person and say, well, they just need to work harder, and neglect the fact that, like, you come from a nice home and had educational opportunities and, like,
yeah, but not everyone had that.
And that's what I mean. So therefore,
the majority of the millionaires that are black people did not have that.
Because the majority of millionaires that are black people were in the NBA.
And even out in general, outside of just being even in the NBA, in general, a majority of the black people did not have that. So if there's the most first generational growth in terms of wealth, which is amongst black people, because we haven't had it, what is stopping you? What versus the other person? Two people in the same predicament. What makes someone able to make it and the other person not?
What's the difference between LeBron James and the average black person?
LeBron James can play basketball and worked hard at it.
Right. And so, like, some people have insane talents that they're then able to work hard and cultivate.
Everyone has insane
for
talent.
That to work out for them. Everyone does not have insane equal. Every single person is not as talented at something as LeBron is talented at basketball, and that's nonsense.
Okay, but here's the thing: you can be as talented as JJ Redick at something.
Every single person is not as talented at something as JJ Redick is talented as basketball.
Bro,
JJ Redick is one of the most elite shooters in NBA history.
Okay, then, bro, you could be Kwame Brown.
Most people are not as talented at anything as Kwame Brown is talented at basketball.
Bro, oh my God, what?
Like, most people in the NBA are more talented than any other person is at anything.
That's not true at all. Because if you were to take someone who, because you're not comparing them to the right people, if you're going to compare them to like a doctor or a nurse or people that have regular jobs, which is one of the things that, like, if you started putting them on pedestals and like say, hey, you started recognizing people that do outstanding jobs in that industry, that's like, oh snap, this person is outstanding in this particular thing. They would be the LeBron James of customer service, the LeBron James of sales. The LeBron
right, but James. That's only the top 300 people in the entire world.
Okay, so like, guess what, bro?
The 300 most talented marketers in the world, they do exist, and they're probably recognized as such. But like, there's only 300 of the 300 best marketers in the world.
You don't need to have the 300 best marketers in the world.
But that's what the NBA talent pool is. The 300 most talented basketball players in the world.
But with business, you can now focus and it be local. Because here's the thing. You as a business, it's like running your own NBA. You now have all the money. So if you, bro, even locally, if you focused in, like, if we stayed locally, bro, we'd only need 250,000 people to be $1 billion company. Offsource only needs 250,000. I think, yeah. Let me see. 250,000 people times 290 times 12, 870 million. So 300,000. We would need 300,000 people. Small businesses, 300,000. There are 30 million small businesses in America, 24.3 million non-employer businesses. Offsource only needs 300,000 to be $1 billion company. We can get that in literally just 2 states. 3 states, 4 states, a small local area.
I got you. And for us individually, like this has a really good chance to work out. And like number one, the two of us individually have a whole lot of privilege and opportunities and things going on for us that other people don't have going on for them. And number two, like even if like 500 people had this exact same idea at the same time, like only a certain percentage of them are gonna make it. And
Bro,
that's
but
just
here's the
like
thing: there's
what's
enough
gonna happen.
money for those all 5 of them to make it. Because listen,
But they won't all make it. That's just not what happens.
because listen, some people are good at, like, think about it. Some people just don't make it into the NBA. But you can do small business. Guess what? What if so you can't be a big business as a virtual assistant. Be a small virtual, just be personal, 5 people. Folks, and here's the thing: if you did just 5 people, bro, and you just yourself, you're not running a business, you just had 5 clients and we're on a steady thing, you could make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month.
Right. And that'd be cool for individual people. But at the end of the day, there's going to be people working at McDonald's. There's going to be people working at grocery stores,
Okay, now
at
here's the
Burger
thing.
King, at
Now,
Taco
what if you
Bell, and all
added?
those
Now, what
things.
if you added working a side hustle to McDonald's? So you're only working I'm only going to work 30 hours, and then do my other 10, 15 in my side hustle, which altogether now is a pretty good chunk of change.
But like, okay, for some of those people it will be successful, but for most of them it won't, because that's how businesses work. Most of
I didn't say
it's
start a
not going to be
business.
profitable.
I didn't say start a business. I said start a side
But
hustle.
an enterprise is the same thing as a business.
A side hustle, not an enterprise.
An enterprise and a side hustle are the same thing.
Not necessarily. An enterprise is a larger business.
Okay, well, like whatever. Like I just be like an entrepreneurial enterprise. Like anything that you're doing as like a side thing to try to make money, like is more likely to like not succeed than succeed.
Let's see. Nearly half of Americans have side hustles.
Right. And that's like mostly related to the fact that wages have stagnated for 40 years and people can't like afford their life.
Side hustle it.
I mean, people are already doing it, as you can see.
Yeah, but those are probably the people that are probably getting by.
Right. I don't know, man. I mean, like, I understand the impulse and the instinct to not want to admit that like people are in a tough position and like it's like just reasonable to have empathy for them and not blame them for it. Like I get that that's a more uncomfortable place to be. And
No,
I get that like
I can
it's easier to sleep at night when you just blame people for their own failures and that's the reason why they can't live a decent life. But it's just like at a certain point you just gotta like you just gotta meet enough people that are working in these situations and hear enough life stories of people that are just like, damn, if this hadn't happened to you, you probably wouldn't be there. If this has happened to me, I probably would be here. And it's just like eventually, I just think over time we'll work on that perspective to where like you'll just like see that you just can't blame everybody for their situation without even knowing them or anything about them.
I'm not gonna blame everybody. I'm not gonna blame everybody.
But
I'm
you
just
gotta
saying.
blame the overwhelming majority of them.
I'm saying the answer is just us. The answer is a lot of us not doing enough, and giving the ones that do make it don't give back. That's my conclusive answer on what the issue is in the Black community. Enough of us that make it don't give back, and a lot of us don't try hard enough to make it.
Well, statistically, Black people that do get good jobs don't build wealth as fast as their white peers because they have to support family back home. So, like empirically, Black people do give back to like their fam and other Black people that they know more than other people do.
Like Black people or immigrants?
No, Black people.
Where are they sending money back to?
To mom and dad, grandparents, to like bail cousin out of jail, to like help make sure the mortgage payment gets paid on the family house so they don't lose it. Like all kinds of things like that like kids who like are from like white suburban families just don't deal with.
I would need to do more research on that, and I will come back to you on that. I need to see the numbers before I speak on something like that.
Because if you just think about it, like how often are white parents who like paid for their kids to go to school asking their like young lawyer son or daughter for like $1,000 if they have it? Pretty much never.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be asking your kids for money.
But some people are in a situation where they don't have a choice. They're gonna lose the house. What are they supposed to do?
Yo, oh my God.
Like they sacrificed and worked and paid for that house, put that kid through school, and like how could the kid not help after they did all that so that their parents don't lose like the house that they grew up in that they were supposed to inherit one day? Like how could you not help?
You could bring me every single person in a line and line them up, and they could tell me their life story, and I could tell you exactly where they went wrong, what they did. Like, oh, listen, oh, yeah, okay.
So you've never gone wrong?
Oh, I've definitely gone wrong.
And like for anything that you've gone wrong, you deserve to have somebody condescendingly tell you where you went wrong in your life and how it's really your fault?
No, because I do that to myself. Don't need anyone else doing it. I know.
Right, but like they don't need it. They don't need anyone else doing it too. Do you think if they have an obvious place where they went wrong in their life, they don't know about it and they don't think about what would happen if they made different decisions?
Do you really think that everyone thinks like that? Like, okay, there comes a point where the people like you think like you're gonna help a lot of people, but more people are going to probably abuse the help than it actually will help. And give me like 3 days, I can find empirical data for that because I was reading on that.
Well, right, because there's a whole lot of like piece of shit people that want to like
freeloader.
not feel bad. There's a whole lot of people that don't want to feel bad about the fact that like people don't have opportunities in the way that they do. So like there's all kinds of people doing research about why poor people are actually terrible and why people who have everything are great and they deserve it and they should sleep well.
No one's saying why poor people are terrible. No one said why poor people are terrible.
Well, you just said that you could line up every single person and you could explain where they went wrong in their life to why they deserve to not be able to afford a one-bedroom apartment and their own bathroom and a used car.
Well, I'm going to do this. What were you doing in school?
What about people that went to shitty schools that didn't have any books or didn't have heat in the winter or like didn't have like after school programs and like you get like harassed by people just trying to walk home and shit? Like how can you compare people who are in that circumstance to people who are in like white suburban neighborhoods where like they have a car when they're 16 and like they get like prep courses for the SAT? Those are incomparable situations.
Which is why we need to preach entrepreneurship, because that doesn't like those merits don't play in the world of entrepreneurship, especially now because of the internet. It's about if you can create in general, which is why I'm loving my Black TikTok feed and everything, are just creators. And here's the thing, because of the ability for it to now be a social construct in terms of money, where attention equals money, Black people are going to flourish, because as entertainers, as just being able to, the ability to like create attention, now being able to make a business and create attention for that business is going to be ridiculous.
Well, Black people have dominated entertainment for like decades, and we have not dominated making the money from entertainment. So while this could be different, it just seems much more likely
because of the free market. Now. Internet offers free market. The internet offers basically like a free market, because now you can be a voice actor for small time shows, like a YouTube show that gets 2 million views every time they post a show, makes $80,000 a month, and you get $8,000 every time something airs for doing a voice.
Right, and a couple people can do that, and that'll be great. And that's
not
awesome.
Not a couple. There's a lot. Think about how much.
Statistically, a couple.
Statistically, hundreds.
Less than 0.01% of the population.
Hundreds of people, but accumulatively over multiple different channels. So let's go from YouTube. then those people who go from YouTube are probably going to graduate to like Voodoo or like Netflix or something. And then
An
you
even
have
smaller percentage of the people that were successful at YouTube are going to be successful at something else after that.
and then okay, so now you can move into something else like podcasting. You can move into doing websites. You can move. There's so many. You can move into hosting courses, learn something, and then teach other people. Learn code, like the internet offers a free market, which is why this is a different opportunity that was not exposed to Black people before, which is why I think the internet should be the best thing for Black people, because it offers the opportunity for free market to be able to do anything, because you can try and fail and not have it at any cost to you. You can try and start a business. Let me just go and make a quick little website and see if people would buy it. Oh snap, like do pre-orders. People pre-ordered and bought it. Now I have money before I even really did the product. Now I can actually do it.
Right. And like, again, like on an individual basis, like this will work for some people. And it's just like anything else. Like some people go to college, some people become lawyers, some people become doctors. Like
there's enough some things for everybody. There's enough some workout things for everybody to do.
But there statistically aren't, and that's just like a fact. Because if there were, like everybody would be doing that.
No,
because everybody like doesn't have
everybody would
money.
You keep saying everybody would be doing that, and you keep forgetting the fact of the freeloader concept of people
because
not
like
to do anything.
To conservatives, freeloaders are like every single person that doesn't have enough, versus to like the rational person, a freeloader is just like occasionally some people may just not want to do stuff. And really, when you think about it, why should they really even want to? Like, why is working required? Like, I don't want to have to just work just for no reason. Like, I can conceivably understand somebody else that doesn't.
Why are you going to work? How are you going to live if you don't work?
Well, I'm only working because I have to. If I didn't have to, I wouldn't.
So who is going to take care of you? Like, think of it like
that's what I'm saying. Like, I can understand somebody who doesn't want to work.
You can't,
because I don't want to work.
That doesn't even make. That's the dumbest crap ever. Like, that's the laziest, dumbest crap ever. Like, bro, do you hear yourself? You don't want to.
I don't get any personal satisfaction from working whatsoever. It doesn't
make
me feel good. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't do anything for me.
Bro, if you took it back all the way to before there was even a governmental system or anything, like Neanderthals just meandering or whatever, and you were just living off the land, bro, you still have to work.
Well, that's not working. That's chilling.
Bro, you have to farm. That's not chilling. Living off the land.
Hunting and gathering is like just like kicking it.
Hunting and gathering is bro. That's the hunting. Bro, hunting an animal is not kicking it.
But if that's just what you do every day, like, and that's just what you.
Why are you?
Just what you be on, like.
Oh, bro, that's how. Okay, if that's what you do every day to eat, that's a job, bro. Going out to do something to make your living, that's called work. You're going out to go do something, an activity to go make a living. In this particular case, you're going out to make a living by going to catch an animal and eat it.
Right, and it's just like at this point in our society, we've progressed past the need for every individual person to need to go do that. We've progressed past the need for every individual person to know how to buy a house. For every individual person to know how to like do all kinds of things.
But you don't.
So now everything can get done, but we don't necessarily need every single person to do it. Like when AI technology first came out, they were saying people would be working like 20-hour weeks by now, and like a lot of people just wouldn't work at all because like there's no necessity for people to keep doing stuff. We just decided to tie people's work to their employment, and then also in a cruel irony say that like even though your job really isn't even necessary and we could just support you without you doing it, we're also going to pay you shitty because even though you're working for no reason, you don't deserve to make enough to be able to have.
How are you, bro? Oh my God! So what are you? Why would someone give you something for nothing? Because like I'm like that's the
rich people get something for nothing constantly all the time.
No, what do they get? Because they're in position. That's not getting something for nothing.
It is something for nothing because they didn't do anything to deserve it. They're just in the position to where their influence and power gives them the ability.
What do they get? Okay, themselves. What do they get for something that literally requires nothing?
Tax cuts. All they do is take their profits that they already have invested in bribes, and then they pay less in taxes. That's not doing anything.
No, that's you have to donate. You have to have a certain expenses. There's a lot of things that going into having tax cuts.
Bribing someone is not work.
Negative construct.
Like owning a piece of property and extorting someone for money, like so that they have a place to live, is not work.
Extorting someone for a place to live? Is that what you call rent?
That's what I call property owning. Yeah. Like that's not work. That's just like owning something. Owning something is not work.
So you think people should build houses and not get paid and let people live in it and no one pays anything for it?
No, what I'm saying is the concept of building our housing system around people owning it and extorting other people for money instead of building it around just like housing people at the most efficient rate possible. You're gonna make people like rich,
because people are gonna want to move,
but people aren't gonna have a place to live, which is the system that we have.
But then what happens when people? That would force people to stay in one spot forever.
No, because the people that own houses and rent them out are not the same people as the ones that build them. Because like construction workers and construction people companies are usually not also rental holding companies.
Yeah, but that doesn't negate the fact that if someone is going to be in a particular building, someone had to pay for that structure to be built. Someone paid for that structure to be built. Where is the money coming back? Like what are they paying for? For someone else to live in it? No, if they're going to pay for it, I'm going to live in it. So when it's time for me to leave, I want some of my money back that I got.
But like rental holding companies don't provide housing. They buy housing and then they hold it and then extort other people for the access to it. That's a different thing entirely from actually building and providing housing.
Even if you didn't buy the house, even if you didn't build the house, you can buy it and then say, okay, listen, we make small changes. It's now worth a lot more.
But no, it's not. That's just something people do to extort other people out of more of their money.
Bro, if you want nicer things, they cost more.
And like, right, but the thing is, we don't build our rental system based on what people need, because what people need are affordable units. Instead, what we build our system on is what people want to hold as an investment, to where we only build these insanely expensive units that no one can afford, and like they don't have any other options except being gentrified out and having to move. So like, if we had a system where instead of just building for what people want to earn in terms of their housing investment, we built it on what people need to live, then we wouldn't waste a ton of money and we wouldn't like be having these like bloodsuckers taking half of people's income.
So it'd be basic stuff.
Yeah, it'd just be the government owning housing and leasing it out instead of like private business, because private businesses are rapacious by definition.
And so the government's going to be owning these houses and doing what? They're going to be keeping it up to date, keeping it up to date and everything. And what are they charging for rent? Nothing.
I mean, like reasonable rates, like no more than like 25% of people's income. So if the average income in an area is like, or the median income in an area is like $5,000 a month, not that it would be, but if it was, then like rent should never be more than like $1,250 for any individual person.
Man, it should just be lazy, man.
But it's not lazy to want to have a place to live. You have a place to live. Why should other people not have a place to live?
I work for my place to live.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, my girls paid for a lot of the stuff where I've lived for like my last like year plus. So I'm not, I have not necessarily been paying for where I've been living. And like before that, I had my like scholarship checks from the university to where they were paying for where I was living. And before that, I was living with my mom. So like I personally have not really been paying for where I've been living for like most of my life. And that's just like, I don't have it's not an ego hit for me to admit that, because I don't think that I'm like better than people because I've been like making it happen and they just looking for a handout.
Nah, it's been recent. I've only been doing this for like a little bit, but I mean, other than that, yeah, I was working
But
for.
is living with your parents really like providing housing for yourself?
That's what I'm saying. Up until that point, and even then, up until my parents really split, where I started work when I was working for my dad and everything, I had an hourly wage. I was getting paid, except instead of getting paid, it was just paying my rent, and it was like
So you were
late.
really working to pay for your rent? Like at what age?
Started at like 19, 20.
Okay, but what about all the years before that?
No,
Like, and that's pretty nice, right?
I mean I was like 18. I was like a teenager. Right?
Right,
Like
but that's what I'm saying. Like everybody doesn't have just a stable place to live and grow up
you should not
until
have
they're
kids.
18.
You should not have kids if you're not stable. Have
Right, but if you're a kid, you don't have control over that. And every person that's an adult was a kid once and wasn't in control over what was happening between 0 to 18 that set the trajectory for their entire life.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. If you aren't financially able to have kids, I think that's a big issue. We're having kids and we shouldn't be having kids.
I agree with that also, but it's just like number one, like abstinence only education and birth control not being affordable are factors in that as well.
There's some other methods, abortions.
But abortions are incredibly political. For example, like in Georgia, there's only like one clinic in the whole state.
Yes, I do realize it's very political. I mean, in that particular sense, in terms of giving, but I mean, I would say that if that's the case, abstain from sex. Like, listen, I mean, hey, listen. Sometimes you have to make because everyone has different hands of different cards dealt. You have to make different decisions. So you may have to be in the position where it's like I'm going to abstain from sex until you are able to not abstain from sex. Like I'm not going to lie.
Right. And now that we're like back to living in reality, like that this is not gonna happen, bro. Like if teenagers that have no job and don't even have a place of their own aren't able to abstain from sex, how in the hell is a 23-year-old grown ass person gonna just be like, oh no, I can't afford to have sex? Like,
Then make sure you
no.
take the necessary precautions to not have a child. Like
But
make
what
sure
if you can't afford it?
you can't afford to get a condom
I mean,
then pull.
condoms aren't 100%.
You can't pull out. You can't have a condom and then pull out.
That's also not 100%.
I feel like if you pull out and you have a condom on, that works. I'm letting you know this right now. That's a very effective strategy, and
Of course it is.
I've not seen it. I've
But
not seen
mistakes
that.
happen.
But what mistake?
Condoms break, all kinds of stuff happens. I've definitely been hit up by the little homie at 4 a.m. talking about I broke a condom, I need $60. I'm just saying, like,
Oh yes. Well, no. I've not had that conversation.
well, I have, and I've bought some Plan Bs, and like,
Oh,
imagine needing a Plan B and you only
I've
got
certainly bought.
$25 in your bank account. What
I
then?
definitely have bought my fair share of Plan B.
Right, and if you only got $25 in your account, you don't get paid for 5 more days. Like, what you gonna do?
Got to ask around.
I'm just saying, man. Like, and I don't like. I understand that, like.
Hey, listen, you have to be like that's what I mean by you have to be prepared and understand your situations versus other people's situations. Like everyone's not dealt the same card, so everyone's not gonna have to play the same type of way.
Right. So therefore, you can't broad brush and say that all of these people made decisions that got them to the place and they're at in their life when you're conceding that everybody has different things to work with and some people have a much more difficult road to where it would make sense if they weren't able to make
it. Some people are going to have a much more difficult road. Are you going to be determined to make it?
There's hella people that are determined that don't make it.
What's make it, bro? I think if we determine that if people could make, I feel like anyone can make at least, let's just call it like $30,000 a year. $30,000 a year is livable.
$30,000 a year amounts to $2,400 before tax, and like it depends on where you're living. Like if you're living in the South, you can probably have a nice little 1-bedroom apartment and like do your thing there, and like maybe have a little like used car, and hopefully nothing happens to it. But like if you live basically anywhere that's a decent place to live, I hate the way that sounds, but like for me personally, I don't want to live in no place that's got dirt roads, or where like there's not like a lot of other people around. If there's a bunch of like people that come to my crib looking for the only black person in the neighborhood. So like just me personally, I have higher standards for where I would like to live that just are not amenable to $2,400 a month before tax. And I think most black people would have those standards.
Now, what are you doing to do that? So, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I have those standards too. I am not a 24, like as you know, I'm not a $2,400 a month kind of person. No, that is not what we are trying to do around here. But what are you going to be? What are you willing to do that?
Most people are already doing a lot. It's not a matter of desire. It's a matter of opportunity.
Listen, man. Listen. We can talk in circles all day about this. Thank you for joining the ramblings, guys. All right, so I stopped doing.
Hey Ramblers, before you go, make sure you're following us on social media at Assistance HQ across the board for all content and exclusives. And for an even more personal touch, subscribe to our weekly newsletter with the link in the description.